Okay, so we are recording. So let me just say a couple things. First of all, welcome. I know it's 2 days before, a day and a half before Thanksgiving, and everybody, I'm sure, has a billion things to do. So I appreciate those of you who are able to join us. I will tell you that my wife is cooking, smells really good. So if I'm distracted, I apologize. I'm hungry, so it's not helping my situation here. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, as I said, and when we get to some of the scheduling things specific to Woodglen and then specific to Valley View, I'm going to ask Mrs. Bell and Mr. Patton, respectively, to kind of weigh in and give a little bit of an explanation of what the schedule changes look like. So let me just back up for a second and say that when we started off the year, when we were planning for everything in August, we put plans in place based on the information that we had at the time, the parameters that we had to work with at the time. And so, we made decisions. We made decisions about Wednesdays. In particular, we have and still reserve Wednesday for deep cleaning, because that is the day that we switch cohorts. We switch between the A cohort and the B cohort. But we realized after some feedback that we needed to give a lot more structure to that day. And so the schedules that you're going to hear about tonight are reflective of that change, of the fact that we really felt like, and based on feedback from the community, that we needed to get students more engagement time on a Wednesday. And so that was the design behind it. Let me just say up front that the design behind those changes and the things that you're going to hear tonight was not about giving kids more work. Okay. It was about more time with teachers, whether that is spent answering questions from other days of the week, whether that time is spent helping students through things that they're struggling with, whether it is spent with getting caught up on things that they've missed, or it is new instruction. All of those things kind of fit within the parameters of what we're asking our staff to do on those days. And they have discretion to do what they see is best for the students. We did add more structure to that, because that's one of the things that we asked for. We understand that, if we make things optional, a lot of students will struggle to participate in that. So we needed to give more structure to it, but they're still designed to be enough flexibility in there to allow for individual student needs and small group or individual meetings with between students and parents. I'm sorry, students and teachers. All right. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. Let me get to that. Here we go. Okay. So I'm not going to read all of this to you, obviously. Nobody likes being read, having PowerPoint read to them, but I do want to go through it a little bit. And I want, as I said, when I get to the screens about the slides about the scheduling, I'm going to defer to Mr. Patton and Mrs. Bell on that. So what we did was we updated our plans for both the in-person and the hybrid learning environments. We are still in that environment. We still have an A cohort and a B cohort, and we expect that to continue for the foreseeable future. Okay, so as I said, it's our intent to enhance the schedules, in particular for Wednesday. And what that did at Woodglen was it necessitated some changes in the other days of the week. And so the schedules that you're going to see tonight are for Wednesdays specifically, but any other day that we have to work remotely, so that all students are working remotely. Let me be clear. I know for those of you who were on the safety meeting last night, you heard some of the challenges that we're facing with regard to increased infection rates and all the parameters that we need to follow, but it is still our intention to only work remotely when we absolutely have to. Okay. So this is a sample schedule for Valley View. So the instructional day is going to begin at 9, runs until 3. The day is going to be a mix. This is a remote schedule. So the days are going to be a mix of direct whole group instruction, small group instruction, some independent work. Teachers are available to assist, answer questions and things over the course of the day. So Mrs. Bell, I don't know if you want to weigh in here and talk a little bit about this schedule.
There it is, the magic button. Hi, everyone. Good evening. As Jason said, we put a lot of time and effort into our schedules. And thank you all to the parents, certainly the Board of Ed, teachers, our staff, because our ultimate goal was to try to simulate the schedule that we had in our, what I say, in our past life at Valley View. One thing that I loved, certainly at Valley View, is the engagement, the excitement, the activity, the rigor, and all the bells and whistles. Certainly when we transferred into remote learning, that was difficult. Certainly we've come a long way since March. And I'm really proud of my teachers and staff and all parents for really jumping in head first. Because what we wanted to do is to really up our schedule with a lot of rigor, certainly, but yet simulate it to what we had in the past. And what made Valley View so great were the relationships that the teachers formed with the kids. So we thought, what does that look like? We all start the day. I have the opportunity to do a morning announcement, and I love having your kids with me, and I look forward to as many flag videos as I can. Then all teachers have a live morning meeting. And what that means, they welcome their students. There may be a small group activity. There could be a game. The schedule is outlined for the day. And again, I'm so proud of how the teachers have organized and embraced remote learning. And in addition to developing relationships with their kids. For those of you at 9:30 not familiar with a Go Noodle, Go Noodle is like a brain break. It's an activity where students can get up out of their seats, wiggle off some jitters, and move around. Looking at, we have small groups in ELA, 10 to 11. There's so much going on in ELA. Again, what we wanted to do is simulate what we did that worked so well when we were in person. Certainly they get an opportunity for lunch and recess. In the afternoon, there's another live meet. And then we close out the day. Foundations is our multi-sensory phonetic program that is strategic, and the kids learn how to read by learning about their sounds, certainly fluency and vocab. So that's why we do foundations. And again, there's a lot of independent work. And the best part of this schedule is it simulates the day that we have. Okay, originally we had cohort A Monday and Tuesday, cohort B Thursday and Friday. Wednesday was not as rigorous. We heard from you, certainly parents in our community, Board of Ed, let's step up a little bit and stretch ourselves a little more. And our schedules pretty much at Valley View model each other throughout the week. And the teachers have done an amazing job with all kinds of remote platforms, embracing anything they can get their hands on. They want to make learning great for kids. Yes, it's really different than currently we're used to, but it's still great as well. We close out the day at Valley View with our special areas. And I know there was a lot of concern with parents, and we hear you in regards to posting the special area classes earlier. And what we're doing is they're posted each day by 1:30. And again, your child has an entire week to do their special area assignment. And again, there's so many great activities in art and music, PE, and library that your child needs to take advantage of and participate in. The goal of learning is to make it fun. It's not easy. I know you're struggling as well, and sometimes we get frustrated, but we want your children to embrace learning and look at this experience as valuable with a lot of rigor and developing relationships. And I think the way we've changed and embraced your concerns in our schedule, I believe that your child will do very well. So if Jason, if you want to go to the next page, it's a very similar schedule. The one I just talked about was a K through 2. This schedule right in front of me, it's a little bit different, but again, we start the day off with our morning meeting, transitioning into ELA. There's small groups, there's whole groups, there's pair shares, there's different small group activities, and then they go into math. And the bulk of math is 10:45 to 12, again, with a live Google Meet. Most teachers have about 3 to 4 Google Meets a day. I know there were some parents that were concerned. They thought, wow, Mrs. Bell, I thought when we went to Valley View, there would not be that much technology or that much integration on the screen. Keep in mind, when your child's in person, we're also supporting our remote learners at home, okay? They do have the opportunity, as you can see on the schedule, for independent work as well. Again, we did our very best. This is a work in progress. Certainly, we've come a long way. We're not there yet. We have more work to do, but what we wanted to do in closing is to simulate the schedule that was so effective at Valley View in the past. And as always, as I say, and I know Jason's available as well, and certainly Dan and our team, you know, if you have a concern, let us know, because we're happy to help you, because we want children to enjoy learning. And I do believe they do. I really do. They are excited to come into Valley View, whether they're working remotely or they're working in person. So again, we welcome your suggestions and thank you for your time, and keep up the great work.
So I apologize. So let me just,
To Woodglen.
yeah, let me go back a slide here.
All right.
So just a couple of quick notes, you know, right, these are not, this doesn't include every grade level, doesn't include, the first example you saw was actually a first grade remote schedule, a fourth grade sample for an in-person schedule. So, you know, one of the things that we encourage all of you to do is really listen to what your teachers are sharing and pay attention to what they're sharing, because they have this of what's happening. And Valley View schedules in particular look a little bit different every Wednesday for each teacher, based on what they've gotten done earlier in the week or they intend to do later in the week. So they're not always exactly the same. There are variations in there. So you know, look for that information on a weekly basis. So with that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mr. Patton, who's here. For those of you who haven't met Mr. Patton yet, Dan Patton is officially our assistant principal, who is covering right now for Mr. Rubright, who's out. So Mr. Patton, I'm going to go to the next slide and turn things over to you.
All righty, welcome everybody. Thrown into the fire. It truly, I put a video out the other day, and it's truly been my pleasure to help out, help at Lebanon Township. I've met a lot of good people over the past month and a half or so. It's obviously not the way I would have envisioned it, with everybody with masks on and, half the kids in, half the kids out. But I know what, although I wasn't a part of the beginning of the schedule, I know the work that is involved in trying to put schedules together, even in a normal year, let alone, a situation like this. So I think they did a great job. And as I said in the video, your children are in great hands. It was, as Mrs. Bell and Mr. Cornegay said, a goal of the district to make sure that we had everybody, we have the kids in person, and it's really, when this happened in March, we'd have never thought we were talking about this in November. And it's been something that you can be in education for 50 years and you've never experienced anything like this. So we're all adapting, and I know it's not ideal. And as I said in the video, everybody just has to have a little patience. And, we want to do what's right for your children. That's really the biggest key. And so as Mr. Cornegay said, we developed a little bit different schedule on Wednesdays, which is what you're looking at now. Starts a little bit later. I know I sent a letter out, and I did send a comparison schedule between Wednesday and then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for you, at least for the times, so that you at least had an idea of what times your children met each period. And the big piece of that was, and I've been in contact with the cycle teachers on a daily basis, that was the big change. We basically spread the cycle period, the cycle from Wednesdays to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with the exception of 2 cycles. And that, as you can see on the screen, is financial literature and careers. Financial literature in 8th grade, careers in 7th grade. Those are set 1 to 1:30 every Wednesday and 1:30 to 2 if your child has that cycle in the second marking period. And they have the cycle they normally had during the second marking period or first half of the year right now. But what we did is, instead of having them on Wednesdays, they now have them on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. For example, library, family life, or family living, Spanish, etc. So you can see the academic periods, and they're going to follow. They're the math, language, arts, social studies, and science. When you get into the middle school, it gets to be a little more strict with the schedule because the students change classes. And actually, this year it's a little different. The teachers change classes. So they go from one class to the other within those 4 academic periods, and they're 45 minutes long. There's a break for lunch, and then we go into financial literature for 8th grade, whoever has that cycle, from 1 to 1:30, and careers in 7th grade from 1:30 to 2. Now, you'll notice it says 2 to 3 band and chorus. This, as I said in the letter, and as I said on the schedule, the cycle teacher will let your child know when they have it, whether it's on Monday, whether it's on Tuesday. A couple of them may have 2 cycles during the week, but they do not have a cycle every day. It is going to still be, for the most part, once a week, depending on which cycle they have. It's either going to be on a Monday, it'll be on a Tuesday. If they have financial literature or careers in those classes, it'll be Wednesday, or it'll be Thursday or Friday. And then Mr. Cursor and Mrs. Brennan have band and chorus, and we kept that slot from 1 to 3, it actually is, and they will get a hold of your child if they have choir or if they have band. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, and they will let you know, but at this point, it looks like 7th grade choir is from 1 to 1:30 on Wednesdays, and 8th grade choir is from 1:30 to 2, and then Mr. Cursor has band lessons throughout from 1 to 3. And I've given him, he has the roster so that he knows where he's going to actually pull his students to learn the instruments. He's been great, I got to tell you, because his schedule was the one that really changed the most to be able to spread it out throughout the 5 days. But once again, the key is they're going to have 4 academic periods now on Wednesdays, as well as Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And they'll switch from one subject to the next. And the teachers have some leeway on how they want to work that, but they will be available during those times, that 45 minutes. So it will mirror, more of a regular day schedule. So I think that was the biggest change, is to get those academic periods on Wednesday, and then we spread the cycles out Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And I realized that we couldn't really, in order for the cycle teachers to teach all of their kids, they need the whole week to do that now. If they got one set time from 2:15 to 3 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday to teach that. So you can see, I basically just put cycle classes in that schedule I shared with you today, and it's 2:15 to 3. That's when they will have their cycle classes. Again, the cycle teachers will let your children know when they have it. But that's pretty much it. And if we ever, depending, especially if you're at the meeting, as Mr. Cornegay said last night, with the health meeting basically more so on the virus itself, if we do this, if there is a directive that we have to go fully remote, we will actually be able to follow the schedule that we have laid out now, that schedule that's starting next Monday. So it's kind of nice. But just know that I've been able to observe a number of teachers, and they really are doing their best and the darnest. Their number one message to me was, am I reaching those remote students? And I've had a chance to observe a number of teachers now, and they really do spend a lot of time trying to reach those remote students, and the students and teachers both alike are learning this whole technology piece. And it's really, it is becoming a lot like clockwork. And I've seen there are going to be technology glitches, but we learn as we go, and we're able to solve them as we go. So it's kind of a learning experience for all of us. But I really don't think your kids are missing a beat. And you know, it's interesting in this there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. But one of the big things we try and balance in this situation is the emotional learning with the academic learning. And that's a real big piece, because we're not used to having to learn from home. I know when I'm home, it's not easy for me. You know, we want to be in the building. So, you know, that's a real important piece, is to balance that emotional piece with the academic piece. And it's a fine line, but I think the teachers are doing a fantastic job of doing that. And you guys changing your schedule for the parents, I know it's not easy. But you know, we're all making it work. So thank you for your time, and the kids, they've been great. They truly are. You never would imagine you had to go to a school with a mask on and be apart from, 6 feet apart and have plexiglass in front, but they get it. They understand it. It's going to be a moment in time, and we'll get through it. But they're making it work. And I want you to know that, everybody's doing what we can to make to make sure your children are learning and are safe at school. And I guess that's it, Mr. Corning. I just
All right. So, and this is just, this is no, significant change other than the special at the end of the day. So
the drop off is the one thing too, is the big change is 8:15 now for, instead of 8 o'clock. And that's a teacher schedule change. So you really can't drop your child off or your children until 8:15 now. That's important. The buses usually come in around 8:25, just to give you an idea. So it's a tight window, but it's been working. So that was the one thing I did want to make sure I mentioned.
And that starts on Monday, the 30th.
And that starts on Monday, yeah. And the 2:15 to 3, that was actually copied and pasted from part of the schedule that the teachers have. Don't let that may or may not be your child's cycle. Don't let that confuse you. The time is important. It's 2:15 to 3. And the pickup will be the same. The parent pickup, that has not changed. Everything is the same in the afternoon. Yes.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. I just here's some things, and some of these things have already kind of started. What we did was a kind of a timeline, a graphic, and again, thank you to Mr. Damiano for his help and support in kind of putting these things, packaging this so that it's easy to read and understand for everybody. So as we said, here that we're going to enhance schedules for fully remote learning. I gave a completion date of December 2nd, but again, we're actually going to do that starting on the 30th. Then on December 9th, we just based on the way we started the year, it didn't make sense at the time to do back to school night. Certainly doesn't seem to make sense to have a back to school night in December. So we're really going to change the focus of that. They're going to be Google Meets, and we'll get more information out to you right after we come back from Thanksgiving. But they're really, the focus of that night is going to be conversations with the teachers and you as parents to talk about what their goals are for the balance of the year. It's not an individual goal setting session for individual students, but just a general conversation about where we're headed, where each class is headed, and what they're looking for in their students. We were able to schedule picture day. So picture days are on December 7th and 11th for Woodglen, December 8th and 10th for Valley View students. And if you are fully remote, if any students are fully remote, they can go directly to the studio. It is Bob Beaver's studio in Highbridge on the 12th and the 14th, and he'll be happy to take your pictures there. So one of the things that we are very excited about is that we anticipate being able to bring all of our kindergarten students back to in-person learning 4 days a week, starting when we return from winter break in January. So we're finalizing the plans actually right when we get back from Thanksgiving. We'll be finalizing that, and we'll be hosting some meetings for kindergarten parents to talk about what that looks like and all the parameters of that. But we're pleased that we're going to be able to do that. And, you know, we have some final facilities things that we need to finish up before we execute on that. But we'll send out that information shortly. You know, we're really excited. And along that lines, you know, our goal is always to bring all of our students back full time. I mean, that's ultimately where we want to be. Right now, that's not feasible, but we will get there at some point. You know, I don't know what that is. And obviously with changes in health department guidance over the last couple of weeks, you know, that has an impact on that, but we're not giving up on that goal. And once we finish kindergarten, we're going to continue to look at first grade and second grade and beyond, and bring as many students back for as much of the week as we possibly can. Again, we understand that, you know, things are changing rapidly as a result of infections, but you know, it's still our goal. And one of the things that we'll continue to do is evaluate winter athletics. I know that that's going to be tough. We have a space issue in both of our gyms, but if that's something that we can do and do safely, certainly we will continue to do that, to look at that. And I think that's one of the things that we wanted to stress, that you know, as we communicate with all of you, we knew and we've known all along that these are our goals, that we've always wanted to bring everybody back as much as we can. And I think I've been remiss in not communicating that as often and as effectively as we should have. So we want you to know that that's our plan, is to always bring everybody back whenever and however that's able to be done safely. All right, so just a couple of quick reminders, you know, things that we want children to bring, you know, materials that they would bring during fully remote instruction, the water bottles, their masks. Kids have been great. I agree with Mr. Patton and Mrs. Bell about that. They've been amazing at bringing that, you know, at complying with all of those things, you know, their headphones and water bottles and things like that. Then just get to, and we just wanted to say again, thank you. So I will open things up to questions in just a second, but just there's a couple of things that I want to remind everybody of, and some updates that you're all going to actually get tomorrow. So you heard, if you were on the meeting last night, about the health and safety issues and the updated guidance from the health department. And in our presentation, you saw that if somebody is, whether it's a student or a staff member, if they are symptomatic, but without a known exposure to COVID, that they will be excluded from school. And that exclusion is for a period of 14 days. And what we said last night, because the information that we had as of yesterday, was that they were excluded for 14 days or until they had either a negative COVID test or an alternate diagnosis. And that in addition to that, that person who shows up that's symptomatic, that we would have to contact trace and look at the people that were around them, whether it's staff members that were around them or students that were around them, and exclude those students who were in close contact with that one student or that staff member. Again, for 14 days, or until that original person either tested negative or got an alternative diagnosis. Well, unfortunately, we found out today that the health department has changed that guidance. So the guidance now is that if a student is symptomatic, and we will send this out to you in writing tomorrow, I promise, but if a student is symptomatic, they are excluded for a period of 14 days, and there is the only path to coming back to school sooner than that is a negative COVID test. Because the health department now says that that there's a possibility that there will have conditions existing at the same time, where you're going to have strep throat and be COVID positive. So they're deferring to the negative COVID test. I know that's a change, and I know it's a change from something that we said just yesterday, but I think it illustrates, we got the information today, and I think it illustrates the fact that everything is rapidly changing now. So we will do our best to keep ahead of that, keep pace with that, and get that information to you as quickly as possible. So just while I was on that, I wanted to mention that. So we just had a couple questions in there. Music seems to be only 30 minutes class at Woodglen. Is that accurate? Mr. Patton, do you want to answer that question? That this,
At this point, it's, that is what I'm showing, and that is between Mr. Cursor and Mrs. Brennan as far as how they were able to fit it in. So that is accurate right now at 30 minutes. Again, because they are doing that particular, the music and the band lessons and band, well, at least the choir on Wednesdays. So Mrs. Brennan looks like she's working, piggybacking with the financial literacy 8 and career 7, and she's running the 7th grade choir at 1 to 1:30 and the 8th grade choir from 1:30 to 2. So that would be accurate at this point. And if that changes, obviously, Mrs. Brennan would let you know.
right. And there's also, Mr. Cursor's, interspersing musical lessons. They're both interspersing instrumental lessons throughout the week. So the next question is, will parent pickup time bill still be the same? Yes, that has not changed. It's just the drop-off time in the morning. And again, that's just to accommodate some of the changes in staff schedules. Will the updated schedule for individual child be available on Genesis as they are now? Eventually, yes. Right now, they're not. We wanted to roll this out and get this moving before we did that, but that will be available eventually.
And I still believe the schedule is showing what cycles they have when.
Right.
So that should still be accurate. And obviously the grade book will also, should also list your child's courses for that particular marking period. So those are the other options to kind of check out.
So as we have done, as a couple of people have done, just a reminder that if you have questions, you are welcome to put that in the chat. And we will be happy to answer them as best we can. If we don't have an answer, we'll get back to you. There were a couple of things that came up last night in the health meeting that we didn't have answers to, so we're in the process of getting back to everybody about that. Is there anything else we can answer for you while we have everybody here? So I see that Mr. Damiano is still on here. So can I ask you to join us and just say a couple words for a second?
Sure, absolutely. I will make it very quick because I know you're hungry, Mr. Cornegay, and I think I can smell your wife's cooking from here. It smells great. First, just let me say unofficially on behalf of the board, wishing you all of your families a very healthy and happy Thanksgiving. I know it's going to look different this year. But our community seems to be pretty healthy so far. So we have a lot of blessings to count and be grateful for. In the spirit of sharing out as much information to as many of you in as convenient a way as possible, we have created Wildcat Strong. I'm going to hold it up. Wildcat Strong. That is our district's, our Board of Education COVID-19 response resource site. It is live now. I know most of you have probably heard my spiel, but I'll go over it pretty quickly. All of our most recent updates, even those presented this evening, our community has, we are constantly updating the content daily on wildcatstrong.org to ensure that we have the most up-to-date information, not only from the administration, but the county and state as well, for all of you to access in one space. Recent developments, we've included a dashboard now that lets you know exactly where our district sits on the COVID-19 risk matrix, as well as active cases in our schools, as well as the high schools, as well as all salient documents, resources, and updates to help all of you navigate this constantly evolving landscape as easily as possible. So please check it out when you have a moment, wildcatstrong.org. And of course, we are always open to suggestions. This is a work in progress, just like all of this is. And we want to make this as valuable and accessible as valuable and as accessible a resource as possible for all of you. So if you have insights or ideas or suggestions, there's a contact form on the site. Please submit your ideas and we'll be sure to take them into account because we want this to be as valuable as possible for all of you. And I cannot wait till the day that we can repurpose this and won't have to do anything with COVID-19 or anything like that. We'll put up beautiful pictures of the school. We'll put up beautiful pictures of the kids. That's what we want. That's our goal. Wildcatstrong.org. And additionally, if you're not following us on Facebook, which I know most of you are, do, because we also mirror all the information coming, the pertinent information coming from the administration. We update that on Facebook as well. So for instance, the recording of this conversation, this meeting tonight, will be posted to both Facebook and wildcatstrong.org. So thank you and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Damiano. So as I said, if there, as Mr. Damiano just said, we are always looking for feedback, and we've made some of these changes based on feedback. We'll continue to do that. We've also gotten some feedback that parents are concerned about burnout for students. So I had a number of conversations with staff today about that. We're concerned as well. So this is not about more work. It's not about more homework. It's not about it's about engagement and connection with teachers to the maximum extent possible under the circumstances. So if your child is feeling stressed, if you're feeling that, please let us know. Reach out to the principals, reach out to me, reach out to your child's teacher and let them know what you're experiencing so we can make adjustments for you and help you in any way that we can. So with that, if there are any other, I don't see any other questions, unless anybody has anything else.
I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And like I said, your kids have been great and it's been very welcoming. So I thank you, and I thank the board too for the opportunity. And I think Mr. Rubright's doing well. So I just want to let you know.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so based on what's coming from my kitchen, there's probably going to be a lot of leftovers at the Cornegay household this weekend. So I'll have mashed potatoes until Christmas at this point. So, all right, listen, we truly appreciate everybody hanging in there with us and sticking with us. We know it's difficult and we do appreciate it. So if anytime, please reach out, let us know if you have any questions and we'll be happy to answer. With that, I will also say happy Thanksgiving and have a great week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Go Wildcat Strong.
Bye.